It's night 3. The headache that began as a dull throb on night 2 has mutated into something far more sinister. It's a physical weight now, a thick, pulsing pressure behind my eyes that beats in sync with my heart. It feels like my own skull is trying to crack itself open from the inside. I was sitting at my desk, watching the text of an incident report dissolve into a gray blur when Nika's father walked into the station. Nika followed behind him like a silent shadow. Her 8-year-old face wore an expression far too heavy for a child. Her father dropped a heavy cooler onto the break room table with a wet thud. 40 pounds of fresh salmon, a reward for saving his daughter's life. I tried to object, telling him I was just doing my job, but my voice was cut short by Nika. Her voice was small but impossibly sharp. She looked at me and said, "Auntie showed me where to wait. She said someone would come before the bad thing happened." In that moment, the entire station fell into a vacuum. The clatter of keyboards, the chief's laughter, the hiss of the radio, it all vanished. It was as if a glass bell had been dropped over the room, freezing everyone in time. The chief sat with his coffee cup an inch from his lips. Dale's fingers hovered motionless over the keys. I looked at Nika. Her dark eyes were fixed on mine, filled with an ancient, terrifying knowledge. For 3 seconds, the world was dead. Then, with a violent rush, reality slammed back in. The men laughed it off, calling Auntie a guardian angel, a town legend. But Nika didn't blink. She leaned in and whispered, "Have you seen her since that night? Have you really looked at her?" Suddenly, the silence returned, but this time it was targeted. I called out to my colleagues, waved my hand in front of the chief's face, but they stared right through me. They couldn't see me, they couldn't hear me. Only Nika remained connected to my world. Desperate for answers, I spent my lunch break buried in the basement archives. I pulled the employment records for Auntie, the station's long-time dispatch operator. I found her ID photo from 2020, gray hair, beaded glasses, a warm smile. Then I found her files from 1990, then 1970. My heart went cold. In every photo spanning 30 years, she hadn't aged a single day. I drove to the local library. I found her in a group photo from 1956. There she was again in 1968, and again in a grainy black and white shot from 1942. The librarian, Margaret, watched me with a hollow, pleasant smile. When I asked how old Auntie was, she simply whispered, "It's rude to ask. Some things don't want to be understood, Ben. They just want to be." I returned home at 6 p.m., my head screaming with pain. My wife, Sarah, was waiting. We had the same tired fight about my long hours, but it felt different tonight. She accused me of being somewhere else. In a fit of rage, she kicked me out. I sat in my truck in the driveway, pulse racing. I looked back at the kitchen window and saw a warm, golden scene. Sarah was laughing, my children were playing, and sitting at the head of the table was me, a version of me that looked relaxed, happy, and whole. I ran to the window, peering in like a ghost. I saw myself, or the thing wearing my skin, lean back and smile. Suddenly, the perspective shifted. For a terrifying second, I was the one at the table, tasting the roast beef, feeling my daughter tug on my sleeve. I looked at my reflection in the dark patio glass and saw the other me standing in the corner of the kitchen, wearing my coat, its face a featureless smudge. "We're so glad you're finally here," Sarah said, her voice sounding like thick syrup. I broke the spell, stumbling back to my truck and flooring it. There was only one place left to go. I arrived at Auntie's cabin as the clock struck 9 p.m. The door swung open before I could knock. Standing there was the woman I had seen in the photos for 80 years. Up close, she was horrifying. Her skin was pulled tight like parchment over a skull. Her cheeks were the color of raw, spoiled meat. "You're on night 3, Benjamin," she rasped, "the middle point. Your mind is bridging the gap between the living and the cold. She told me an old story, a story of a woman betrayed and cast into the freezing sea, a woman whose severed fingers became the creatures of the deep. But this woman, Sedna, grew hungry. To stay warm in the abyss, she had to steal the warmth of the living. "A child's life buys many years," Auntie whispered, leaning across the table. Her face began to sink, her eyes turning into black pits. "But you saved Nika. You broke the cycle. Now I need your warmth to settle the debt." She pulled a curved bone knife from her belt. My limbs felt like lead. The tea was drugged. As she moved closer, a fractured, ancient memory exploded in my mind. I saw a woman centuries ago running through the snow, pursued by a mob. I saw the blade slice her face, and I heard her scream a name. "Agna!" The woman recoiled as if struck by lightning. The entire station flooded with a harsh, celestial light that stripped away her disguise. I saw the centuries of stolen time etched into her rotting skin. I saw the void where her soul used to be. The walkers in the corners shriveled into smoke. I didn't wait. I burst through the door, scrambled into my truck, and tore down the snowy road. I didn't look back until I was miles away. In the rearview mirror, the cabin was a tiny dark speck against the white wilderness, and there, in the window, a single silhouette stood perfectly still. She didn't follow. She didn't need to. She was just waiting for the next person to truly look at her. If you enjoyed this descent into the shadows, don't forget to check the links in the description for our full Creepypasta collections, featuring the best horror writers from the last 15 years. Hit that subscribe button to join our community of the macabre, and as always, sweet dreams.